Hello everyone, Tom here from the Comic Book Cast with another trailer breakdown, and this time I'm going to be doing the Doctor Who 50th Anniversary The Day of the Doctor trailer. And actually I'm going to be doing both trailers because there's a lot of details and some of them coincide with the other one, some of them there's extra footage, so let's just go through it. We open and we see that looking at these footprints coming out of a pretty battered looking TARDIS, um, you can tell that the TARDIS one doesn't have the St. John's Ambulance logo on it, so it's obviously not Matt Smith's, plus the colouring's all wrong. It looks more like Tennant's and Eccleston's TARDIS, but since we know Eccleston's not in this, and those footprints definitely aren't from Tennant's trademark Converse, we have to assume that these footprints are from John Hurt's Doctor. Onto the next shot, and we can see a huge Dalek invasion fleet, presumably attacking Gallifrey. Unless there was other planets involved in the Time War, we don't know. Maybe not. Maybe there was. I don't know. But then the Doctor, and he narrates about how he's had many faces, many lives, and we see that Gallifrey has actually taken a huge beating. Like, clearly they're not doing very well in this Time War. Or, well, if they were doing well, then, well, I suppose they wouldn't have lost. But, yeah, then we see there's some sort of weird Dalek ship thing attacking a Gallifrey city. Some people have suggested that this might be Arcadia, which Tennant has mentioned in a previous episode, saying that he was at the fall of Arcadia. And we see some Daleks with flames, which looks pretty cool, and there's some troops fighting in the battle. And yeah, just a lot of destruction, as you can see. So the Doctor says how he's had one life he's tried very hard to forget, and we see John Hurt, and then we can see him in the desert here in this shot. And he says that he's looking for the Doctor, and we see Tennant and Smith clearly not in the same location, as there's plants behind them, so clearly the scene is made up of various different scenes. 11th Doctor and Clara look like they're doing either some dance or yoga or something like that, and then we see Elizabeth I running, and it looks like she's running from something which, based on the next image, we can only assume is the Zygons, which it's great to see them back, because they haven't been in the show for a very long time, I believe, not since Tom Baker's era. And we see an explosion, and then we see this unit scientist who's been named Osgood, I believe, and Kate Stewart, who was recently in the Doctor episode The Power of Three, who's Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart's daughter. And we see Matt Smith's wearing his fez, and they've both got their brainy specs on. And so yeah, it looks like they get along reasonably well. But then we see that the three Doctors are in the Time War, which was supposed to be time locked. They shouldn't be able to get there, so this leads to a few questions. And then we see Billie Piper looking pretty ragged. We haven't really seen her in the show before looking like this, so I'm wondering exactly where she's come from. But she seems to be, with the glowing eyes, it reminds me of the end of the Eccleston series, where she was Bad Wolf and she'd looked into the eye of the TARDIS and it had looked into her and all that stuff. Then we see them running, well, getting out of the TARDIS using a horse. It's Queen Elizabeth and the 10th Doctor riding out of the TARDIS using a horse, which is pretty cool to see. Then we see the Doctor hanging from the TARDIS, Clara looking upset. We see another Time War Dalek. We see a Zygon smashing a window. We see a TARDIS getting the shit kicked out of it by the look of it. And then this one's interesting. Clara seems to have got a vortex manipulator, and I don't know where she's got this from. Maybe River Song gave it to her, I don't know. But I know Captain Jack Harkness also had one. They're not exactly difficult to get, I imagine. Maybe the Doctor's got a few lying around the TARDIS himself, who knows. And then we see John Hurt with this strange looking device, and now, several people have said, especially based on the line that Rose says next in this next image, saying the moment is coming. And in the episode The End of Time, it was mentioned that the Doctor was in possession of the moment, and that was what he used to end the Time War. So clearly, based on that sort of speculation, you can imagine that that must be the moment. And then we see John Hurt's TARDIS console, which isn't which I was just expecting him to use the Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant TARDIS interior, but it looks like he's actually got his own, which looks like a kind of precursor to those ones. And then we see Tennant back in his familiar TARDIS. We see Matt Smith. We see another one of those Dalek ship things exploding. And then onto the extended trailer for the extra bits that weren't in the other trailer. We see Smith in his TARDIS. There's some smoke coming from underneath. Maybe there's been some damage done. I don't know. Maybe it's just for effect. Who knows? We see Clara again. I like Clara. Anyway, go on, and Smith and Clara are looking awkward. He's opening his doors at one point. There's some light, and I'm wondering if that's maybe right before he falls out of the TARDIS and is hanging above London. Who knows? It might be, might not. Back to the Time War, you see more Daleks. See some rather senior-looking Gallifrey troops wearing capes, which are pretty cool. And walking into some green lasers. Who knows what that is? Maybe it's just a lighting effect. Maybe there's a Dalek or something that's shining a light on them. Who knows? John Hurt again. Rose Tyler again. Sorry, Billy Piper. See some more shots of the Time War. In this one shot, though, with the three people, some people are saying that the guy on the right is Paul McGann, but looking at it closely, I don't think it is. It would have been cool to see Paul McGann in this series, but I don't think it's going to happen at this point. Smith with some lighting. The moment device again, with Hurt poised to use it, which suggests that maybe he is the Doctor that ended the Time War. And the next one, you see a gallery, and there's drapes over some statues, I assume. I wonder what are actually in those. Maybe they're statues of the Doctor's incarnations, but that's just speculation on my part. Clara on a motorbike, driving the motorbike towards the TARDIS, and it looks like she's parked the motorbike in the TARDIS. So, and they look pretty happy to see each other. I wonder how long it's been since the Doctor and Clara at this point have actually been together. And then we see two shots of Matt Smith's Doctor hanging from the TARDIS while it's being lifted by a unit helicopter, which is pretty cool to see. Interestingly, the behind-the-scenes photos that leaked a few months back show that Matt Smith actually did that stunt himself, which was pretty cool. And then we see Hurt's Doctor on Morpheus's chair from The Matrix, which is pretty cool. 11 looking excited. 10 and 11 comparing screwdrivers with Elizabeth I in the background. And Rose Tyler waving to someone and smiling. I'm wondering if she's waving at the 10th Doctor, or maybe the 11th Doctor is like, oh my god, it's Rose, and she's like waving like hello. Who knows? We don't know. It's a trailer. The three Doctors in the TARDIS, which is a shot we've seen in a bunch of the already released photographs. Two Doctors, and by the looks of it, two Kate Stewarts. So, considering the Zygons are shapeshifters, maybe one of them is a Zygon. And yeah. Couple of shots of them looking together, another shot of Scruffy Rose, another shot of of the 11th Doctor with his fez on, and he throws it into a portal. Maybe it's a painting, who knows, and maybe the paintings are portals. We don't know at this point. We know that paintings are involved because that was the very first clue that Stephen Moffat actually gave about this special. And the Doctor says that he remembers this sort of, which makes me wonder how this kind of works, because usually after these sorts of events, the future Doctors, or the past Doctors rather, forget what happened to them with the future Doctors and all that stuff, so it usually explains why the future Doctor's just not like, oh, I remember how this works, let me press this button and it will be fixed. But the three of them on the TARDIS, and 10th Doctor repeats a line that Patrick Troughton's Doctor said to John Pertwee's Doctor, how he's redecorated and he doesn't like it. Matt Smith's reaction there is just awesome. It's like a child who's a bit annoyed that his parent doesn't like his drawing or something. TARDIS smashes through a wall into a Dalek. John Hurt's Doctor with Rose in the background, so maybe Rose is the one that reunites the three of them. And then the three of them in the unit base, and in the background you can actually see those are photographs of the Doctor's past companions, and I wonder how many of them are going to be featured in this episode in those pictures. Whether it's just an Easter egg, or maybe there's some sort of actual reason for them to be there. It might just be simply there for the fans, or it could actually be a major plot point. We'll have to wait and see. But that's the end. The 10th Doctor says he'd like to know where he's going. 11th Doctor says, no, you really wouldn't. But so that's the end of that breakdown. I just want to thank DoctorWhoTV.co.uk, because without their article, I wouldn't have been able to do this breakdown with as many details as I did. And I know what you're thinking. I didn't give a hell lot of details, but there you go. Trailer breakdown. It's almost 10 minutes now, so if you're watching at this point, thanks for watching. If not, fuck you.